Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know, and today we are going to be talking about peaking in high school, or really just high school in general. Now, I have not been in high school for a while, and I'm kind of approaching the era of my life in which Hollywood might consider me something of a geriatric hag. And I'm not trying to be one of those influencers who's like, that awkward moment when you forget your math notebook in class, and then, meanwhile the influencer is 35 and on their second divorce. But I was just reflecting upon, that era of my life because I saw a TikTok that was like a nostalgia TikTok, and it was talking about just high school and the football game and homecoming and and so it got me thinking about it. High school is a transformative time, although I would argue that your 20s are more transformative, but you're kind of starting that transition into a kid becoming an adult, or a kid becoming a slightly older kid who thinks they are an adult. And I also feel like there's this weird emphasis on your high school years because the mainstream media is just obsessed with high school for some reason. I think, it's a very easy setting to write a narrative in, right? So we have a bunch of movies and TV that are all centered around high schoolers. I mean, coming of age is practically an entire genre that is dedicated to this period of time. Of course, I love a good coming of age story no matter what, and coming of age can resonate with anyone in a general audience, no matter what their age is. But Hollywood consistently putting this emphasis on youth and the experiences that you have in the teenage years and all of this stuff, I could see how as a high schooler you would feel this pressure to kind of be like, oh, I'm supposed to be experiencing a lot of these things, like my first kiss and romance and partying and all this stuff. And young people might feel like, oh, this is going to be a super significant time of my life, and this should be something that I need to cherish and cling on to. And meanwhile, as you grow up into a proper adult, you think back to high school and you're like, I'm gonna be honest, it's all a blur. Also, a lot of these television shows and movies, they seriously are just pieces of fiction, right? They really fabricate or glorify these teenage years when, a lot of us, we weren't kissing anyone, we weren't partying. A lot of us were sitting our asses down and studying. Get up and get your ass to work. No one wants to go to work anymore these days. For melodrama, the theatrics of it all, they are having, these characters that are in high school do these things that are not always representative of the general high school experience. Society has really put this emphasis on doing things while you're young. You gotta do this while you're young. You only have so many years and the clock is a-ticking and global warming and everything's gonna be destroyed and this or that. And while I do understand that, because honestly, global warming and everything might be destroyed. But also, people are always like, you're only young once, right? But then it's like, you're only old once too. I don't know, everything's only once. We only have one life. Ever heard of that thing called YOLO? Yeah, Zac Efron has a tattoo of it. Why don't you educate yourself and check it out? For those of you who are in high school, or even college, honestly, I want to ease the pressure you may feel about needing to experience all of these different things while you're young, right? Because you simply have a lot of time left. Hi, this is the guidance counselor's office, right? It sure is, and you are Amanda? Yeah, sadly. Well, I am so happy that you made an appointment with me. You're the first student who's ever... Okay, if I'm seeing you when I don't have to, that means something is seriously wrong. Okay, you should not be happy about it. Right. Noted. Okay, so what exactly brings you in today? I mean, I guess just normal teen stuff. I just feel like my life is insignificant and I have nothing to offer to myself or those around me, and the space that my soul takes up on this mortal plane is basically just a waste of potential. Oh, okay, wow. I just thought you were gonna ask me about college admissions or something. I just feel like everything is so miserable and boring. Math class? Who gives a fuck? I thought these were supposed to be the best years of my life, on TV. TV? Yeah, in Gossip Girl, they're always having these amazing parties and kissing hot people. In Riverdale, they're always having these weird, kooky adventures and kissing hot people. And then in Euphoria, they're always doing hard drugs and kissing hot people. And then in Pretty Little Liars, they're always kissing hot people too. And sometimes those people are your teachers. Okay, well, let's not glorify those experiences. That shouldn't be goals for you. Just so we're clear. Listen, you have your whole life ahead of you. High school is not everything, okay? Not even close, all right? I mean, in fact, these will probably be the worst years of your life. What? So to the main thing that I wanted to talk about, I mean, the concept of peaking in high school. To be candid, it is just depressing as fuck. And I mean, not to brag, right? But my life has just gotten so much exponentially better since when I was in high school. And I can't imagine looking back on those years and being like, yeah, that was the top of the mountain for me. That was the peak of my life. High school is so early in your life, you know? That's like watching a movie and being like, yeah, my favorite part was the opening credits. Everything after that, it was just downhill. I mean, of course, during that time, you know, I made some lifelong friends. I made some good memories, but it doesn't necessarily bring me a rush of serotonin to think about waking up at 6:30 a.m. and then falling asleep and drooling on my desk during the Pledge of Allegiance. I stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, that was a joke. I feel like I have to clarify. But even if, like, who cares? It's weird that we do that anyway. When I think about certain things that mattered to me in high school, it's like astounding how much it does not matter and how much it just doesn't take up any space in my mind now, you know? Like, when I was in high school, I was worried and having heart palpitations over how much varsity playing time I had in lacrosse. Like, girl, who gives a fuck? Or I remember I got cut from the freshman year basketball team, and mind you, like, I was a decent athlete, okay? It was like, when I got cut, it was kind of like a shock. It shocked and shook the nation. It was like when a fan favorite gets voted off from a reality TV show. It's like, no, why would you do that? No, I'm over exaggerating. People were bummed, I think, but no one was like rioting over it. But I remember I got cut, I got snipped, like a vasectomy, right? And I was crying so bad, like hyperventilating, eyes puffy, like so upset. And then I remember my one friend, she's very sweet, and she's religious, right? She looked me dead in my eyes and said, "Emily, don't worry. This is all a part of God's plan." And I was like, yeah, for sure. You know, me getting cut from the freshman high school basketball team it's in the New Testament, for sure. God dealing with starvation, war, and pediatric cancer. God dealing with me trying out for the freshman year basketball team. Trust you will be dealt with. But the point is, you know, all of my triumphs and my pitfalls from however many years ago, they in no way stick with me now. So I can't imagine clinging on to things from that point in my life. Like, even the more developmentally tangible things that I was dealing with during that time, like growing up LGBT in an environment that wasn't always very accepting really ever. And then, you know, growing up as an Asian girl in like a very, very white neighborhood and things like that. Like, even those things that were affecting like my personhood, it's just something that happened in the past and something that I've moved past. So I can't imagine things like being the captain of the football team and stuff like that, you know, remaining to be things that I would cling on to and show off to people. Hey girl, are you guys taking any job applications? Oh, you know, I really don't know, but do you have any experience in outpatient dermatology? Yeah, actually, before my pyramid scheme failed, I was a CNA for 6 months, and I did get fired though for breaking HIPAA because I was posting my patients on my Instagram story for my followers to rank by hotness and also to vote on who they thought deserved to live the most. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you probably shouldn't open with that. Well, I was just telling you about my experience. I think that we're probably good for now. Would you just take a look at my resume? Please. Thank you. This is written in Sharpie. Varsity cheerleader and prom queen. They're both from like 25 years ago. And you misspelled varsity. Okay, well, I'm not Einstein, so. And for your references, it says, just ask around. Yeah, everyone in this town knows who I am. Okay, seriously. They all know about my greatest achievements that are listed there, so. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just trying to clarify. Your greatest achievements of your entire life
are from high school.
Yeah, aren't everyone's? Are you kidding me? I would give anything to go back. I mean, high school is like the best years of your life.
Definitely not for all of us.
Well, that's not really my problem.
Okay, well, we're not hiring. Sorry.
Oh! Listen! I was popular and I was prom queen, and I'm sorry if that bothers you. It sounds like it does because you were probably a loser who ate lunch alone in the bathroom and tried to commit suey because boys didn't like you. But guess what? That's not my problem.
Being prom queen over a decade ago, it's not really the most valuable achievement.
Well, where's your crown? Okay, what did you have?
A 4.0 GPA and a full-ride academic scholarship to university.
Girl, no one gives a fuck about that.
I'm sorry, what is it exactly that you currently have?
Herpes.
Oh God.
From the high school quarterback as proof that I was varsity cheerleader. So, how about that for a fucking reference? I personally don't have anyone in my life that I would consider that they peaked in high school or that they consider that they peaked in high school, though I'm not sure anyone would openly admit that. But because I don't really interact with people who have peaked in high school, it got me wondering okay, so what are some indicators that someone has peaked in high school? And so, I went on to the best journalistic resource that I could find, Reddit. So a few things some people said were bragging about high school hookups in their 30s. Yeah, totally relate, The only reason I'm not constantly talking about, all the hookups I had in high school is just because there's too many of them to choose from, so I can't really, sort through them all, because I was just, I was hooking up a lot. I did a lot of that, hooking up and such. My ex-stepmother constantly bragged about being a cheerleader in high school and winning a beauty walk. She was still bragging about these things the last time I saw her. She is in her mid-40s. One guy I knew literally got our school emblem and mascot and a huge class of 2010 tattooed on his shoulder. Anyone who bullies other adults as if they were in high school. The people that ask you to join those MLM schemes, selling body wraps or the like. Or the like. Anyone that has a Salt Life decal on their car when they live nowhere near the ocean or even a salt mine. Cop uniform. But anyways, this got me thinking about high school reunions, right? And on my first instinct, I was like, oh, a high school reunion, that would be heaven for these people because they were God. A lion returning to its den. Right? A noble returning to the kingdom of which I once ruled. Everyone trembled in fear as I sauntered down the corridor in my Nike shorts in the middle of January. I don't even know if my high school had a reunion, honestly, and even if they did, I would only maybe go if I happened to already be in the area, But that's the thing with people who peaked in high school. They're likely already in the area because they never left. But honestly, the more I thought about high school reunions, maybe it wouldn't be a good place for someone who peaked in high school because, to show up in a room full of people to show that your life has only gone downhill, I personally would not want to show my face. Perhaps if the high school reunion was a masquerade ball, then maybe I would go. Imagine everyone remembering you as this huge hotshot, king of these four walls, and then when you show up years later, it's just what happened?
God, man, I used to rule these fucking halls. Seriously, I mean, I could have stepped onto that football field and I could have told everyone in the crowd, line up and lick my cleats. lick the grass off of my cleats, and I swear to God they would have done it. They would have done it, totally.
Right. Anyway, Amanda, you were talking about your cancer research?
Yeah,
we're trying to optimize early diagnostic testing. That's our main goal. And, it just makes me think about when my dad passed away of cancer.
I could have gone pro if I didn't get that hangnail senior year.
What?
The NFL, that was my path, dude. I could have been hanging with Travis Kelce and Tay-Tay, going on double dates and shit if I didn't get that injury.
A hangnail?
But you know what? My Letterman jacket still fits. Still got it.
That's great news. I'm really happy for you.
Yup, made sure of it. And I did it the old-fashioned way. Gave myself an eating disorder.
Wow! Oh, that's not
You should
good.
not do that. A king must always fit his crown. What can I say?
Sorry, what is it that you do now?
What?
Like, I know that you were prom king and varsity football captain and, you know, all that stuff, but what do you do now? Like, for a living? You know, like, she has her cancer research and I do my stuff at the UN. You know, what do you do? Like, nowadays, you know, Mr. King of the Hallways.
Oh, right, yeah, you're right, the cancer. Yeah, you know, I run the concession stand for the football games here. Yeah, they don't pay me, but
Oh,
I don't really mind. So
okay.
yeah, you know, I wanted to coach, but like fuck that shit, right? You guys know how it is.
How is it? We don't know how it is.
Oh, well, you know, they gave me a trial run and everything, but then, you know, long story short, they accused me of having an abusive coaching style just because I would, you know, tell the boys that they could never live up to my legacy, which is not me being abusive, it's me being honest. I would also hit them with a metal yardstick. You know, everyone is just so sensitive these days. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Liberal snowflakes. Right.
Totally. Right. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well.
I'm not. I'm really not.
I know this video might seem, you know, in some aspects, maybe a little bit mean because, you know, it's like kicking someone while they're down sort of vibe. But you know, people who peaked in high school, I feel bad for you. Yeah, I feel bad for you.
But a shout out to everybody
who peaked in high school.
I kind of feel sorry for you. Oh, yeah.
And I think when we think about people who have peaked in high school, right, we mainly think about bullies, people who are maybe mean, and, you know, it's just people who we don't really mind pointing and laughing that much, you know, but there are people who I'm sure who feel like their uptick was in their teenage years because maybe they truly just are having like a rough adulthood and they are, you know, finding the transition to be difficult. It's hard to find a job these days. Maybe you had a death in the family, whatever. And, you know, and in that case, I do truly hope that things turn around and you know, there's a lot of life to live yet. So no matter who you are, maybe you are a vile, heinous bully and you were, you know, burning your victims with curling irons on their necks like in The Glory. If you are a person like that, maybe unsubscribe. I don't need you in my community. If you're in a dip right now, you know, I encourage you and give you support to take actions to make some achievements for the future so you don't have to cling on to those in the past. All right, well, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Were you guys popular in high school? I think I was average. I think that people knew my name, but they didn't particularly care if I was in a room or not. Yeah, so just let me know, I guess. I always feel like I'm so awkward ending the video. It's like, who am I trying to impress? Like, it's just me in here, but it will be broadcasted to hundreds of thousands of people. So there's that. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and until next time. For my followers to rank by hotness and also to vote on who they thought deserved to live the most. That's so awful.